I'd like to welcome Shira Levy to our little show. uh, Shira is a passionate, strength-based, and solution-focused, nationally certified school psychologist, registered psychology associate, and coach. In her practice, Shira focuses on meaning, purpose, positive emotion, and what is right with us, as opposed to the traditional psychology of what is wrong with us.
Well, welcome, Shira. When we knew we were going to have a night talking about gratitude, I knew who we wanted to bring right away to join us for the conversation. So before we jump into specifically gratitude, can you tell us a little bit about positive psychology, what it is, why you chose to focus on it in your practice?
Yes, definitely. And that's a really good place to start because I think the news and the media has really popularized positive psychology, but not a lot of people know what's behind the science of it. So it is a science, it's backed by research. And even though it has the word positive in the title of it, doesn't necessarily mean that everything is focused on being happy. The basis of positive psychology is how do we live a better, fulfilling life, a more fulfilling life. So how to lead a meaningful life, really based off of old philosophers' kind of way of what do we need? What are the character strengths that we need to live a fulfilling, meaningful life, which is really aligned with Judaism, which really focuses on 5 main components, which is building up our positive emotions, looking at how engaged are we with our lives, how engaged are we at work, how engaged are we at home, our relationships, how are our relationships in our lives, our achievement, are we meeting our goals, and our vitality, so our health, how are we connecting with our health, how are we sleeping, how are we moving, how are we eating, everything the Soul Center brings into people's lives in terms of their vitality and their meaning and purpose in life. All of those things are different aspects of our well-being, which is the focus of positive psychology. So during this talk tonight, when we're talking about gratitude, some people may not feel as comfortable with it, which is totally okay. All of us have 24 character strengths. One of those is gratitude. And I find that people that have gratitude just naturally lower down on the list have a little bit more discomfort with it at times. But that's okay. We can build on lower strengths and use our other strengths as well.
So just talking about that and, maybe it being difficult for some people, how can we tap into gratitude? And what does cultivating gratitude do for us?
That's a good question, especially now during COVID, with all of the loss that's going on in our lives. It kind of sometimes does feel difficult to talk about gratitude, especially if we've had a loss recently and just kind of a loss of our lives as we know it. We're not able to do a lot of things. Our kids aren't able to do a lot of the normal things kids do. And that's really, really challenging. We can kind of hold on to that kind of grief and loss that comes along with COVID and the lives that we're living right now. And at the same time, hold on to gratitude and use a gratitude practice to cultivate all of the things that I talked about before, boost our positive emotions, engagement, meaning. Gratitude helps all of those aspects of well-being. So we know that positive emotions are important as well as negative emotions, but we actually know that gratitude increases our positive emotions over time when we do these interventions to the point where it actually can decrease symptoms of depression for many months. And also increases our immunity, which is kind of a cool fact. People that have greater positive emotions actually are more immune to general cold viruses. Gratitude also has proven to help boost our engagement in work from day to day, helps improve employee motivation, attitudes. It helps cultivate stronger relationships. So a lot of marriage therapists will talk about doing a weekly gratitude practice with your partner. Really helps build relationships with your kids and people in your life. And then again, that meaning piece of in the midst of tragedy, of grief, really connecting you to meaning making. So it helps connect us to the larger purpose of life, Why am I here? What can I do for others?
Can you describe what a gratitude practice is and maybe give us some examples of what it could look like?
My favorite gratitude practice is called a gratitude visit. And that is when you write a letter to someone that you haven't had the opportunity to thank. And you actually take time writing the letter, indicate how this person has impacted your life in some way, and then read the letter to the person. So it's kind of a two-step process. And this can really help to boost your mood and the mood of the person that you're reading the letter to. It's a very emotional experience if you've never done it before, but I would highly recommend that gratitude practice. There's another gratitude practice called counting your blessings. And that's when you keep a gratitude journal just to jot down 3 good things that happen to you each week for at least 1 day a week for 15 minutes. And just really be detailed on why you're grateful for something, whether it be something small or something big, and how emotionally it's changed you or impacted you in some way. There's something that you can do called a savoring walk, which is you just take a walk once a week for 20 minutes and set an intention for yourself to just look around you and find things that you're grateful for or appreciate. I love creating something called a positive portfolio in my cell phone, which is when you create a photo album. You could do this on a regular photo album too, and just collect pictures and put them in the photo album, things that you're grateful for. And that way you can scroll through and you kind of have a scrapbook of what you're grateful for. Having a gratitude jar at home is something that you can do. Just write on little slips of paper throughout the year something that you're grateful for, and at the end of the year around New Year's, review it with your family members or your loved ones at home to see what you were grateful for the year. Love that one too.
You just talk a little bit about like keeping a practice, or how when it's beneficial, how often.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's definitely good to do it at least once a week for about 15 minutes. So sometimes people find it helpful to set a reminder in their phone or put something in their calendar for a certain night of a week that's beneficial for them. Sometimes a Sunday night just to kind of get the week started right, or a Friday night around Shabbat time to kind of reflect on the past week would be a good time. But definitely at least once a week. Sometimes people try to do it, every day for 100 days. And sometimes that can be a burnout, send you into burnout mode. So we really just want to focus on what feels good to you.
One of the rabbinic disagreements about lighting the Hanukkah was, do we start the first night by lighting 8 candles and then 7 and then 6, and the last night of Hanukkah is just the 1 candle with the shamash? But of course, the winning argument is that we start night 1 with 1 candle and we increase the light every night. So I'm wondering if you have any thoughts about how that idea of starting with 1 and allowing that to build may dovetail with some ideas around gratitude.
Definitely. I think that really points a lot to the function behind gratitude. So why does gratitude work so well? And it's such a powerful tool for us. And that's because the more we do it, the more our attention shifts to focus on the good. So again, with each of those nights, with each of those candles, with each gratitude practice, we get to focus more of our attention on what is going right and what is great around us.
Shira, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I loved the ideas that you brought to us, and I'm sure the entire Beth El and Soul Center community is excited to try some of these ideas and to dip our toe in the gratitude pool, as I like to say.
Definitely.
And thank you so much, and happy Hanukkah.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you, Shira. Happy Hanukkah.
Tonight, she mentioned the concept of what she calls a gratitude visit.
So we thought this was such an amazing idea that we decided to give it a try. So we have something very special for all of you to watch. Enjoy.
Good morning, Ezra. Happy Hanukkah.
Good morning. Happy Hanukkah.
So I have a gratitude letter that I'd like to share with you. So dear Ezra, I know that you set a goal for 2020 to spend more time with family, and yet little did you know what it would take to make that happen, to achieve that goal. You most certainly have gone more than above and beyond with all of us, especially with Chav, our mother, and me. You spent the early part of the year arranging for an apartment for Chav to spend February in Florida, researching communities not too far from where you live in St. Petersburg, and in a community that would replicate her life in Queens with a JCC, kosher restaurants, and social outlets. You found a lovely place for her, an apartment to share with Pamela, her aide, on the first floor, of course. You visited her, making the 2-hour drive once or twice a week. You also hosted her at your beautiful condo with the most stunning views, which made our mother kfel. She was happy there in the sunshine. Going back to your goal, our close relationship, albeit with more than one hiatus over the years, began early. It began when we engaged in what we then called talkie-talkie, lying in our parents' bed when you were 3 and I was 4.5, or maybe we were younger. We would share stories and talk nonsense, just like we do now via Zoom. We had a very strong foundation by the time 2020 rolled around, and I was lucky for it. You were there for me when my husband, Mike, died. Before Chav even left Florida, as soon as I asked you to do so on the day before Mike died, you dropped everything, packed a big suitcase, and flew up from Florida. You were with me almost every minute from the time you arrived at the hospital. You helped me plan the funeral, talk with the rabbi, and make plans. You coordinated with my good friends Marla and Karen, who planned and ran the 7-day Shiva. You stood beside me and held my hand throughout the funeral and burial. You handled everything from dealing with Mike's sons to giving directions to those lost, driving to the house for Minyan, to helping in the kitchen, to making my friends feel welcome and comfortable. You were great. 8 days and 9 nights. You remained until Shiva ended, and along with the rabbi and Minyan, we walked to the end of the road and back. I drove you to the airport. We had remarkable talks and a few walks in this safe space that I will never forget. We returned to talkie-talkie. Overwhelmed with, I guess I'm still emotional. Overwhelmed with everything I needed to do. You became my accountability partner. In addition to our almost daily talks every Monday at 5, we reviewed my to-do list, and with your urging and support, many of those tasks have been crossed off. You helped me deal with lawyers, financial advisors, and family members. You and your wife, Skipper, invited me to join you on vacation in North Carolina this summer, my very first time away. Along with Skipper, we Zoom regularly, often on Friday night and holidays, as we did for the first night of Hanukkah. You're always there to lend a hand, help me sort through decisions, show support, and listen. And now, back to 2020, when you helped Chav find a place in Florida for February. You just helped me find an Airbnb in St. Petersburg, near you and Skipper for February, even going to the apartment and FaceTiming me. What a brother. I can't wait to spend time with you and Skipper in the sunshine. I owe you a kidney.
Thank you. It was a labor of love. It was my pleasure. I'm glad, if we think of the family, it's like, we have our own little nuclear unit of me and you. And then it's true, and then there's Mother, Mark, and all that. And it's, very, very important. It's very special, loving, caring relationship. And I really, it was not a burden at all. Anything you said, I was very, very glad to be there. And now look forward to 2021 and joyous times and for the years going forward. Umein.
Umein. Thank you, Ezra, for everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. My pleasure.
You know, people call it father in love. Have you heard that? So anyway, it's a different way of saying it. So I want you to know that I love and admire you, and I'm grateful that you are in my life. You're a terrific father-in-law or father-in-love, a great dad to John and Andy, Joy and me, a terrific, caring brother to your own brothers, and a model grandpa for all your grandkids. They're all so impressed by your social romantic life in your 90s, the way you cared for Liz, Umi, in her last years, your business acumen and entrepreneurial creativity and emotional generosity. Zachary is particularly impressed with the marijuana business, and Daniel appreciates that, a Steeler fan, you will always cheer on the Ravens when faced with a choice. We wish we could see you in person during this pandemic, and I am grateful for our Zoom gatherings and for your involvements in Pittsburgh with the life you've created with your enhanced Jewish communal involvement, especially following our marvelous family trip to Israel that I know we will always cherish. I am grateful for those days long ago when you helped teach me how to ski in Courchevel, even though you were quite a taskmaster, for the many thoughtful, interesting, ongoing conversations about Judaism, American and Israeli politics, business, and my research interests and community involvements, Torah, and the Joseph story. Family, which begins, is on now, right, in the Parsha. Family history and dynamics, music, the arts, investing, and philanthropy, and much more throughout the years. I feel grateful for vacations and peaceful, colorful days in Vermont, and for being able to keep the Bomazine Lake House and family Judaica for the next generation. I am grateful that you are here, alive and well, to be able to stand in for my dad, and he would be grateful too in the heavens. I love your natural curiosity, your counsel, your lifelong openness to inquiry and learning. I am grateful you can be on this Zoom call today for me to wish you a happy Hanukkah, Hag Sameach, filled with light and deep satisfaction and continued good health and well-being. Shehachianu. I love you always.
So first of all, I don't deserve all those compliments and adorable remembrances, but I'm glad to hear it anyway. I do want to say, since I've been a widower for now 5 years, that family is very important to me. And the fact that my children and my grandchildren have accepted me is very meaningful. And actually, now being in the 90s, it lends or adds value to my life. So I very much appreciate all you've said, Joanne. And I love being able to share my experiences with not only my kids, but also my grandchildren. And it gives me joy That's not a pun. It gives me joy to relish in their successes. So I love you very much, and Chag Sameach.
Thank you.
A little more than 24 hours. I knew I hadn't slept. Maybe he did on the plane. Outside, it was warm and sunny. Inside was darkness and cold. Metal chairs without cushions. The hardness didn't matter. Doors swinging open. Coffee, sandwiches, and smiles passing by. Time for me stood still. 4:14 a.m. Alerted to the present, the car door opened, watching as he approached. 8:42 a.m. No words, just a hug. Tears of gratitude, washing away the pain for a moment.
Well, I am glad that I was able to be there for you. You would have done that for me. You wouldn't have given it a second thought. I remember when you found out about my heart attack, Ellie and others had to stop you from jumping on a plane. I was still in ICU and they wouldn't allow visitors in.
Yep.
But I knew you would have been there for me. We've been together a long time, and I'm glad that I was able to do that. It didn't take any thought. As soon as I found out, just had to find out where you were so I could get to you.
Yep. No, I really appreciate it. And I remember sitting outside that restaurant, watching people going by and thinking that it was just another day for them. And you don't know how much that helped me in something that I'm sure I was still in shock. And like I said, it was barely 24 hours or a little more than 24 hours. And I know I hadn't slept, and I was not in a good place. And that helped me start to get in a good place. So I really appreciate it. And thanks, Matt.
Absolutely. You know, it's my pleasure. I do it for you anytime. Anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I want to thank you for being so nice, man. I want to thank you for giving me my pride. Sweet kisses to you and everything you do. I know I never find another one like you. If I do my love, it won't be true. Oh man, my darling, how can I forget you? I remember the first day that we met. I taught you how to smoke your first cigarette. You were so sweet in everything you did. And oh, darling, you made me seem so big. Just to have you right there in my arms. Just to hold and squeeze all of your sweet loving charm. I wanna thank you. Darling, I wanna love you. I wanna thank you again and say bye-bye. I wanna thank you again. Oh, how I will cry. Sweet kisses to you and everything you do. Darling, I wish I had another one like you. Just to hold you, have them in my arms. It'll bring back memories and all of your sweet loving charms.